So most recently, I dealt with a military family where the wife and her daughter came into town to house shop. Her husband was on deployment, and she's never been to this area. He's never been to this area. Most of these service men and women do not know this area, never been here ever. So they depend highly and heavily on the experience of myself or, my team, and even realtors throughout the Hampton Roads. Okay, so here we are. This is the main living room. One of the things I can immediately notice is we're gonna look at these windows here. They do look a little bit older, maybe even original to the house, but that's something I can ask the sellers. But my guess is they are original to the house. That's probably gonna be one thing that we really need to pay attention to, especially with your husband using his VA loan. That's super important. These things could get flagged by a VA appraiser.
Looks like it wouldn't open all the way because this window's a bit bigger than this window.
And that's very possible. So if we end up choosing this house, one of the things that we would do is we would do a home inspection. All right?
Gotcha.
So we'll have a home inspector come in, test the windows if this is the house that we pick.
What do you think the price would be to get the windows replaced?
If it's every window in the house, depending on how many it is, if it's 10 to 12 windows, which is usually in a home like this, probably about $10,000.
Okay.
One important thing is sometimes, maybe more than half the time, spouses or the active duty service and member is usually on a deployment. We have to, help in that fashion when a spouse doesn't have their spouse with them, and they're the ones having to do all of the picking of the house, and that's a big stress point for the spouse member who's doing the searching, because the service member is serving our country. They're out, they're doing that part, and we have to do our part. Looking at this system, in my opinion, this is going to be within 5 years old. It's a split system. So basically what it does is, have you ever been into a home where there's two units outside, one controlling the upstairs, one controlling the downstairs? We call that dual zone heating and cooling. Well, what they did was they put a damper system inside of their ductwork, which what that does is it properly cools downstairs, then the dampers close, and it'll cool upstairs.
Okay.
So that's a system that's being put into like some of the newer construction nowadays. So that's cool that they upgraded their HVAC system to a damper system. Water heater looks a little bit older, but as you know, we talked about this at the buyer consultation. Water heaters can go for 20 to 30 years as long as they're maintained. I'd be more concerned about an HVAC system than I am a water heater.
Okay.
In terms of cost.
Got it.
So a lot of times we're dealing with the servicemen and women via a Zoom or via FaceTime. In fact, I've sold a lot of homes where the servicemen or women haven't even touched down in our area. We've searched them. We did FaceTime video. We did everything remote. And we sent a mobile notary down to California on closing. And I think the biggest thing you want to look for, yes, you want your comfortability when you move in the home, absolutely. But the other thing is also look at your long-term investment. So when you buy a house, two things you want to make sure that you're looking at. Number one, if I get orders out of here next year or the year after, am I going to be able to resell this house? No problem. That's number one. And then number two, you want to stay within your budget of what you're shopping in, right? If you told me out at the end of the day, after we saw the other two, those turned out to have more issues than this one, then I would tell you, okay, I felt really good about the first property we saw. However, we would go in and ask the seller to change all the windows out before you close. That's a $10,000 spread right there. I think that's not too bad, in terms of
how. Do you find that sellers often do that?
They do, if it needs to be done. Okay. And it also depends on what their spread is. We don't know what the seller owes.
I think the kitchen, I think we can get past the windows.
I think the kitchen also, I would put in, when you're looking at numbers, you're looking at about an $8,000 budget to bring that kitchen up to today's standards.
Okay, that's not bad.
So that's one thing. That's changing appliances, that's changing countertops and cabinets if you want to replace them. If you were to come in and put the money into that kitchen, you got to ask yourself, when I go to resell this, am I going to get that back?
Right.
The answer to that is yes.
Okay.
Based on the numbers and the analysis that I did on this house today at full market value.
Gotcha.
Let's go take a look at the next two, and then we've got something to compare against. Sound good?
Sounds great. Thank you.
Let's go.
Let's go.
All right. I'm Gerardo-Ferrer, and this is what happens between showings.